Can I take the Chief Whip?
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, colleagues, and good morning, General. General, I just want us to talk to money matters, General. One of the reasons that were advanced by the Minister with regard to his decision for the PKTT to be disbanded was the issue of the budget, that it was taking a lot of money. But there's a sense that maybe some of the money could not be properly justified. Let me just give you an example and then you'll comment. For instance, we have it on record, having listened to many witnesses who came before us, including your CFO, that for a period of 5 years, up to 2025, February 2025, you have already spent over 100 million rands on overtime. And it's broken down in the following way: 2018, 19, 17 million, 19 and 20, 26 million. Maybe when you comment, you'll also indicate why does it fluctuate the way it does. 2020 to 2021 is 21 million. 2021 to 2022 is 14 million. 2022 to 2023 is 15, 23-24 is 3.6, and then the last one is 13 million. What is your comment on that?
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. My comment first on the reason of the expenditure of the PKTT as one of the reasons for the disbandment will be first based on the deduction that it's an afterthought reason that came very late without the engagement that was supposed to take place from within SAPS, so as we are able to explain and account to the Minister in terms of expenditure. The expenditure as presented by the CFO, mainly focusing on overtime, doing the analysis of, let me confirm the fluctuation thereof, but doing the analysis for the previous 6 to 7 years or the whole period of existence of the task team, the overtime expenditure will fluctuate based on the number of cases that are allocated to the team. There is a time, although I won't remember exactly, when there was a discussion in terms of increasing the allocation of overtime budget based on the reason that the team, especially the investigating officers, the number remained the same. Now, once you have more cases that are now at court, it means the same investigating officers are spending their 7 to 4 time sitting at high courts for 2 to 3 weeks to 3 months when the matter is there. That will force then the investigation of the new cases to be done after hours and over weekends. That there is a time when one can have access to that fluctuation where the overtime increased because of that reason.
So is there a clearly spelled out procedure which you have that properly regulates the way in which this overtime payment are being done?
Yes, Honorable Chair, Honorable members, the overtime allocation will be estimated in the budget, and thereafter the cost center, the current cost center for the PKTT is KwaZulu-Natal province, head of finance. So each commander of the team will apply for certain hours of overtime to the Majok commander, giving reasons and duties that will be performed after hours or over the weekend by those members. And that application will go out of the task team, will go to the finance section of the province, KZN, for approval. So that is the standard procedure that is in place in order to put controls that the PKTT operators or management are not both the player and the referee, in the fact that they approve the duties and they also approve the overtime. So they will approve the duties to be performed after hours or over the weekend and submit to finance in KZN for them then to approve. And that approval first gets the recommendation by the provincial finance head, and then it will go to the deputy provincial commissioner crime detection for final approval. That is the standard procedure.
Okay. Gerald, what is meant by, in your budget items, there's something that is called cell phones, consumables, and Section 205. Maybe I'll understand the consumables being the airtime, data, and all of that. But what is meant by 205, Section 205?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. It's a short word that talks to each and every investigation will need then the part of the investigation talks to the application of communication data to the service providers. So that expenditure is for, I can't remember which service provider, I think it's Telkom, that is selling us as the police or as government that information. Others then are giving it for free, but then you need to provide consumables like the discs to save those bulks of communication data.
But the cell phones, they are not procured annually. So, or they are procured annually. So if I'm a member of a PKTT, I have to make use of a cell phone, and you give me today. Are you giving me another one next year, or I have to remain with the same phone?
No, that's a consumable based on the monthly fees that are paid on a contract.
Not the handset?
Not the handset.
Okay. In your affidavit, General, you are arguing that beside the PKTT, there are other task teams which are in existence and are also using a lot of money. I think you made an example with the wine on mining, about which you said so far it has probably used close to or just above 1.1 billion. Now, and you are saying if the concerns of the minister were really about the money being used, he should have considered that as one of the task team. And they're also saying the minister himself, created another task team in December, which had to deal with taxi violence in the Eastern Cape or somewhere. But the main contention there, your argument, is that, therefore, because of those reasons, you believe that it was not appropriate for the minister to use the cost of the PKTT as one of the reasons for him to suggest that it must be disbanded. What is your understanding of, let me put it in this way. The state can allocate me R1 billion as an example, and I account for it effectively and convincingly such that AG and all state institutions are happy, but then give you 100,000 rand and you fail to account for it. let's not deal with the value for money, but just accountability. You are able to, unable to account for it. Don't you think that the minister might be having a cogent argument in relation to the method and the way in which the money for PKTT is being or has been accounted for compared to these other ones? Never mind the figures, which may be more or less the same or even one being above.
Yes. No, thank you so much, the Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. The reason why we are scrutinizing, I scrutinized that reason for my affidavit was firstly to show that it is my belief that it's not true when you refer to the political killings task team. The budgets for all the interventions are assigned to the particular cost center that is responsible for accounting for each and every cent. So the CFO is the chief of all the cost centers. And then the CFO's office is doing the continuous monitoring and making those that are running the cost centers to account. So the expenditure by the political killings task team is not different from the expenditure from any other task team. The scores are the same for accommodation, for meals, for S&T allowance, for overtime. It is the same throughout. And the central cost center in Pretoria is the one that is monitoring then the expenditure by these task team. So the PKTT is not a standalone team that is spending this money differently or treated differently or giving the money. No, the expenditure and the scores are the same across the task teams. The reason why we are flagging the new task team for December that was initiated during the tenure of the minister, firstly was to show that the task team approach is not something that you can get rid of. Task teams will always be needed as and when there is a need, where you need to attend to a problem that needs the task team approach. Secondly, then was to show that the expenditure cannot be the reason, because the expenditure of PKTT, irrespective of the amounts, is not different from the expenditure by any other task team.
So General, maybe to make it easier for somebody like me who's external, the amount of money paid for a member per hour on overtime is the same across the board. The distinction may be the frequency and the number of hours. That's what you're saying.
That is very correct. The task team does not have a separate dispensation. Task team members are treated the same as all other government employees and in terms of overtime tariffs. The difference might be hours.
So where we witness a jump on the budget, fluctuation on the budget, what is the best way for us to understand that? How do we explain it, or how would you explain it to us? Where there's that fluctuation I was reading from 17 million rand at some point to 26 million rand.
Yes. as I've tried to explain, Honorable Chair, honorable members, that the fluctuation might be necessitated by different factors. It's either there are new allocations of dockets that will need additional investigating officers to be called up to beef up. That will increase then the budget, or the very same capacity that is there as the need arises. And of late, most of the investigation is done after hours as well as over weekends for all cases that are still under investigation, because most of the cases are at trial stage, and the members, they spend most of their time at courts during the day, Monday to Friday.
Okay. Now, I want to go to 114 of your statement. You don't have to go to general. I'll remind you, and this is a small issue. Lieutenant General Mboto's office had received an inquiry from an individual that members of the DPCI were conducting an operation at the residence of Mr. Katiso. Who was the individual? The individual claiming. Have you ascertained who was that individual?
That is coming through you, Chair. That is coming from Brigadier Mkwena's affidavit, who then I think Captain Kruger, according to Captain Kruger, he was told by Brigadier Mkwena over the phone and advised that DIVCOM, Lieutenant General Mboto's office had received an inquiry from an individual claiming to be members of the DPCI. Mm. So it's a long chain of hearsay. Then the individual that would have called General Mboto, according to our investigation on that chain, is the former national head, who is the one who then informed General Mboto to attend to that complaint.
Okay. I'm not sure whether you have made any comment anywhere else, but in your affidavit, you're making references to Officer Mokhatle. You remember the Mokhatle from JMPD. What do you make of that character?
The character, based on our investigation up to so far, talks to those members that are close to the high-profile criminals, and sometimes also I referred to this new phenomena of our junior members moonlighting to boost their income. I think as part of evidence, which is included in his own affidavit, there is somewhere where he says he also provides services of licensing the vehicles of Mr. Mlife, and then he will get 500 rands per car. So there are different services that one is deducting from his affidavit that he is providing, like the services he provided on that day, on the 6th, when he drove with him to look for the suspicious vehicle, circulate, identify it, and give that information back to Mr. Mlife. That will be then maybe for a particular price.
Okay. On your statement on paragraph 237, there's a very interesting line there, General. It says, leaving the suspicion, the last sentence, leaving the suspicion of the PKTT's mistaken identity. It's on page 74, paragraph 237 of your statement. The last sentence there, it says, leaving the suspicion of the PKTT's mistaken identity. So my question, what does that phrase mean? And the second question would be, do you think that the minister acted consciously to aid or in support of the nefarious activities of other people that wanted to do certain things that are wrong, or the minister might have acted in good faith, unknown to him that his actions were at the service of other forces with wrong intentions?
When the disbandment letter came out with a reason, I think there is only one reason that is provided there. One then would stick with the suspicions of PKTT's mistaken identity, coming from the fact that the minister might have acted then based on those wrong advices from people that wanted the PKTT to be disbanded. But the afterthought reasons then are raising the suspicions of acting knowingly, because now all the reasons are not holding up according to our understanding as people that were involved in the project itself, leaving then confirming that suspicion that the PKTT was mistakenly identified as the team that is investigating the cartel, which was not correct.
Okay. When we listen to General Pasani, the former National Commissioner, one of the assertions he made was that he believes that there should be a distinction between a person who is your substantive role and the one who heads the operational task of the PKTT. What is your comment on that? His view was that this should not be the same person. What's your take on that?
I will not agree with that assertion if it's without the reasonable reason. Up to so far, I look at that assertion as being personal, because there has been nothing wrong with myself or anyone else having those added responsibilities, as it's the case with most of the senior management in the police. You are appointed as the head of a particular component, and then you are assigned, and then other temporal duties that you need also to perform.
As a divisional commissioner responsible for crime intelligence, I would imagine that is a strategic responsibility which requires you to provide a strategic direction for the country in its entirety. without having been a police officer, because I haven't been, I'm assuming that that should be a very demanding charge responsibility on its own. And then you have this other role of a PKTT coordinator, which I suspect is operational. To what extent does that leave you with sufficient time to respond to the strategic responsibilities you have at that level when you are also seized and engaged with operational matters of the PKTT?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe then this is the opportunity for me to further expand on why I believe that that assertion is personalized. I explained the methodology of the PKTT, and according to my understanding, the appointment of myself as a divisional commissioner, I believe it's a huge responsibility, and I've delivered and I'm still delivering to the best of my ability. The issue of the continuation from my side to coordinate was a conscious decision taken by the National Commissioner. It was discussed at length when I was appointed. I am not, there was a time when I was full-time in the task team. After my appointment, I'm no longer full-time and I'm not doing anything other than receiving the reports and making sure that the methodology is still implemented accordingly. So my involvement is with the name, if I may put it, only. There is no day-to-day work that I am performing there. And there are capable commanders there that have clear understanding of the methodology. So there is no need. I believe that the reason why the National Commissioner took that decision is because of his previous experiences. There are other interventions that I've coordinated. The Operation Rhino, wild trafficking project that I coordinated in 3 provinces. Soon after my withdrawal, it died the natural death. It's dead. But the idea was for it to be sustained by 3 provinces. And there are a number of other national interventions that have suffered the same fate. I take it that the National Commissioner, as the accounting officer, took that decision for me to remain a coordinator because the commanders that are there, they are still aware that they are implementing the methodology and there is a coordinator who's monitoring them.
Last question, General. Have you, as the top brass of the police, have you had an opportunity to reflect on how best to replicate or to take some of the what you believe are brilliant skills or coordination that has been with the PKTT and various other law enforcement agencies and replicate it at a national level? Have you thought about how can it be done in such a way that, one, will be cost effective, but secondly, the skills and the capability which you believe has been outstanding on the part of the PKTT can also be adapted to the rest of the country to deal with issues of the similar nature? Thanks, Chair. Thanks, General.
Thank you, Chair. There's been numerous attempts. Maybe let me start by saying we have been recommending that for a very long time. And there's been numerous attempts to discuss and implement that. There was a period when there was an instruction that each province must send between 5 or 6 members to the PKTT to learn the methodology. Indeed, it happened. We welcomed members from all 9 provinces, and they were given the theory during the night, and then during the day they will go out for practicals with the PKTT members. It was well and good. But as soon as they went back, the instruction was then implement what we have learned. The problem that we have is there are no Khumalos in these 9 provinces who believe in this methodology, because this methodology needs the support from senior level. Now, when these junior members, they get back, I still receive calls even today from some of those members that were trained and they believe in this, but then their commanders, then they believe otherwise.
Thank you so much, Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair.
So, Khumalo, you are saying each province must have a Khumalo why?
Thank you very much.
That's why.
Hello. General Khumalo.
Just to say it, Skosana, Chief Whip, in case you get pressed for time, you are released.
Thank you.
Ngithokoze General Khumalo